losses to their current opponent. So we're going to have to see how it plays out. No further delay, folks. We are getting into the match. Let's go. It is Consulate. It is DarkZero. It is TSM. And it is the semifinal here of the major, our lower bracket final, to decide who moves on to face off against SSG in the best of 5 tomorrow. And an interesting ban to get the series started out. Bye-bye, Ash.
Starting things off spicy with a target ban early on from DarkZero. They more than likely saw what TSM was going through earlier, and they just chose to exemplify those issues, trying to abuse them and put TSM even deeper inside of this hole. We'll see if it works out for them, though. We still have a defensive ban to go through for them, but Ying as well as Mira going to be off the board for Consulate.
Mira probably the most normal ban that we'll get out of this pool so far here. Everything else, obviously, is a little bit far removed from what we've generally been seeing, but it does make sense when you consider the circumstances, as will this Valkyrie ban. She's been an incredibly popular ban at this tournament. Specifically, I would have to guess that her ban rate compared to stage 1 and stage 2 probably as well of just the normal online division has skyrocketed in comparison. So Valkyrie definitely not going to be seeing a lot of play, and I imagine that will probably be a sticking point, as I've noticed that becoming more and more common even in the online games.
Yeah, absolutely. Mira is an operator that has always been at the top of the ban rate, whether it be casual play or competitive, and it's simply because of, her ability to rework sites. She has so much utility at her disposal, so getting rid of her can really, really affect a round. I mean, a lot of the times, especially when it comes to LAN, we see Mira banned out more and more often simply because of those pocket strats. If Mira's left up, all of a sudden you have a strategy that you exactly weren't ready for, and Mira makes it extremely difficult to try and walk into these defensive setups. So just get rid of her, make it to where any of those pocket strats that anyone does have are not allowed to exist.
So it's a lobby defense to start out here for DarkZero. Don't imagine we're going to see the very interesting round we got when OXG was on the attack yesterday, and we had that rush strat. But TSM definitely going to have their work cut out for them when it comes to this attack. A lot of tricky elements to this attack, even though it would appear as though planting is a very straightforward matter, because, hey, the bomb site's literally right next to the front door. So generally speaking, you think you'd have an easy time on the attack here, but that is far from the truth, as the defenders are going to barricade this entire second floor, opening up a kill box potential for them to have shots going down below and killing any of the attackers that would try to take early control. Similarly, the defenders are also going to reinforce the bathroom in the middle of the 2 sites downstairs, where you can currently see the outline from Skies. This will also be a central play point and a central point of control for defenders to try and maintain for as long as possible to stop TSM from getting that case onto the ground.
I would also like to point out quickly before we get too deep in here on these bans, Valk, one of the highest banned operators at this entire LAN right now. She has over a 90% ban rate, so that's something pretty crazy to point out, as well as, again, that Mira being removed on Consulate. You also have to remember the fact that no one really likes holding that top floor anymore, so since Mira's become a lot more potent on this map, that just makes her even stronger and more likely to be banned out here. So DarkZero starting out on defense, TSM on offense. DarkZero a lot stronger on this side yesterday. We'll see how it turns out up against TSM, but it's been slow beginnings for both of them and a really strong drone economy early on for TSM. This is not the same that we could say earlier on in the day.
Not a lot getting lost on that intel department at all. That's until just now, at least. We're going to see a couple players begin to try and knock those out. Overall, pretty quiet start to the round, though. As Stokes was saying, TSM is focused very much on the drone game right now, seeing as they still have all 10 of them alive. No reason not to use that free intel while it's going to be given to you. But finally, got a couple players setting foot in the actual Consulate. Achieved is first up to bat as he moves into the basement. He'll probably be alone here for some time, as there's actually going to be a run-out attempt, or at least a window peek attempt here from Skies back on the first floor. We're going to see the attackers spot that out, and TSM gets the first kill of the game here as Merc going to be able to knock out Skies.
That's a big early pick, especially for Merc. Had a pretty good game on Clubhouse up against SSG, but nobody else home for TSM, and that's really where things started to fall to pieces. But now DarkZero still have a chance and a couple opportunities upstairs utilizing these floor holes, especially this cheeky angle here from Mint towards the south rappel. They're doing a very good job of delaying time, though, and oh, what a shot from Mint. Merc playing with death just too long there. A nice pre-fire bags him a kill. All of a sudden on equal footing, but TSM don't have too much map control. They're trying to work the map from the outside as well as from below, but they don't have any pressure on the horizontal front.
Hot and Cold still keeping himself in a very aggressive position here. He's got to watch out from at least 2 to 3 separate positions, if not more, if he's going to maintain this current corner. The attackers seem to have an idea that he's here. I just saw a yellow ping in his general area, so more than likely TSM are already aware of that Jaeger's position. If they're going to be able to deal with it is another matter, because TSM, despite the loss of Merc, haven't really done much here. They've just been sitting back looking for a way into the building, and they haven't actually tried to get aggressive. That's obviously going to change here now that we come down to the last 20 seconds. But DarkZero has to just sit here and wonder now, where is the attack? And finally, they get an answer, as Hot and Cold's going to be able to take down Bolo on the rush here. He'll look for more, but like I said, they knew he was there to begin with, and they lost a teammate to it. So Geo gets the pick. We are going to see a plant attempt being made. It's a very, very tentatively possible plant here, and it is just barely going to go down, as now Chala sits the only player remaining, gets to the post plant, yes, and he has a nice lineup on one of the two remaining players for the defense. All he has to do is get down the hatch and stop the counter defuse. Now it's being tapped on by Eclipse. No commitment just yet. We're going to see the Nitro cell from Eclipse tossed up, but no success. Eclipse goes for the fight anyway. Chala's going to be able to take him down. Hyper did get revived in the process, though, even though he was down previously, so he's still in this fight. But Chala now has the easy denial, just has to line up the shot, wait for the full commitment, which should be coming in at any moment here from Hyper, as he's running out of time. Only 3 more seconds in excess before he would have to commit, and we're just not going to see that. Hyper's taking the duel, but it doesn't even matter at this point, because Chala has won out the 1vx, and TSM will take round number 1.
By the skin of their teeth, TSM slide by inside of that round, but a win is a win, and it's definitely a good way to start us off here on Consulate. DarkZero not ready for that aggression and didn't have the ability to shut down the plant inside of Piano. It was a last-ditch effort from Geo, but he was still able to get it done. And with the positioning of Chala upstairs on the CEO rappel, there wasn't really much they could do. He just simply had the high ground, and everybody else had already rotated downstairs, so they have to try and contest yellow. But there's so much verticality as well inside of there. We saw multiple attempts from DarkZero to try and clutch that up. Some very creative stuff as well, especially from Eclipse. He tried to sound bait with the case diffuser and then nitro cell the floor right after that to bait him over the vertical holes. So some really smart plays from DZ, but it just didn't happen. I mean, it was just a very unlucky timing for them, because they killed Geo immediately after that case goes down.
So early success for our attackers is going to send the defenders down into the basement, where they'll have their next defense here. TSM, the very, very scary attack, but ultimately it works because of the angles they maintain on their chosen site. The defenders who try to swing in and deny the planter don't have the capability to get in there without having to fight an additional player. So as a result of that, they are able to get it down despite the stress on the timer, as well as maintain good post-plant positions, even though they were outnumbered there. Beautiful play from the last man alive on TSM in order to clutch that out and give them their opening round. Basement defense is up next here for DarkZero. We do have the Goyo shields in play. Besides that, though, everything looking fairly normal here for a Consulate defense.
John, they turned us into Cat Jam.
Wait, what?
They turned us into Cat Jam. They did it.
What do you mean?
We're now Cat Jam, apparently.
Are we?
So we need some Cat Jams in the chat in order to remedy this, because R6 Esports is making fun of us, man. And the Cat Jam. We need some jammers in the chat. No band.
Really
no bans are coming. No bans. You'll see it later. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not that important right now. All you have to know is that Cat Jam is love and Cat Jam is life.
Okay.
That's all you have to get. All right. Although TSM already inside of the building, and this is a very aggressive front as to what we saw the previous time. TSM taking a very long time working that map control, and then again that last ditch effort that we saw from Geo to get that case down. But now they really want to get in the faces of DarkZero, and this is where that pacing control comes in. DarkZero has to be ready for this at any moment in time, and this is where they ran into a lot of problems yesterday with Oxygen, but they were eventually able to solve the issues. So for now, it's up to DarkZero to figure out, this Rubik's Cube that is TSM and how they're going to continue to handle this aggression from them. Nice shots here from Eclipse and a beautiful pickup with some bullet holes. That's going to be 0-0-2 for Bolo here, as that previous map was not the greatest for him on Club, and it continues here on Consulate.
Eclipse continuing to wait for an opportunity to frag out here. Now that he has the position inside of CEO, he's just waiting for the attackers to get aggressive, and there we go. Finds that opportunity as Merc tries to swing onto him. Another player's going to look for revenge here. They sit right on the other side of Connector, but no, Eclipse too strong in the current position. He's up to 3. 4 might be right around the corner in a moment here. There's a very, very hesitant push from Geo here onto the CEO windows. He'll pop it out, but Eclipse is feeling it now. He's going to get aggressive. There's the quad. Only one more away from the ace, and he'll get the opportunity to get it as Chala is right around the corner. Chala will deny the ace, but Hyper is at the top of yellow to stop that round from going anywhere else. Once again, we're going to see a great effort put up there. DZ will take it.
What a fantastic teammate, Hyper. Missing on purpose so you can give Eclipse a chance to get the ace. What a nice guy. But either way, ends up picking up the frag, and DarkZero, well, mostly Eclipse and DarkZero, end up winning that last round. What a show of mechanical skill. That was really it. TSM could not outduel Eclipse, and that's exactly why he's on this roster. It doesn't take, you know, the most amount of frags to have an impact, and that's exactly why we have the name, Impact Frags. Eclipse wipes up the entire board of TSM and walks away with the round. There's nothing more to it. Even contests the guy on the window. I thought we were going flying for just a second.
All right.
Oh, speaking of flying.
This will be fun. Amaru being brought out here by Merc on probably one of the most window-heavy maps in this game. So when you consider that, and especially when you consider that it's going to be over here in the lobby again, so that the upstairs, at least quite a few of the windows upstairs, will be undefended, there is absolutely room for this operator to work here.
There's a lot of potential with this one, John, and it's mostly because of Hatches. We've seen a ton of different teams utilize her in a very special way on this map. Most notably BDS with the way that they handle Consulate CEO takes. They, end up going up through Cubby with her utility and plant right here, but we don't see a lot of teams go upstairs anymore. So for this one, it's more than likely going to be a window, but they can always try some very cheeky things. Again, this playbook is wide open when it comes to Amaru. She has access to those hatches as well as those windows, and if they're able to get smokes in or what have you, get a lot of, chaos going on inside of sight, no one's going to hear that Gara hook, and that's where that craziness can possibly ensue. But we actually have a very smart reinforcement, although Skies probably doesn't know it, as he reinforces the basement hatch. Merc's not going to necessarily utilize that, as he'll actually be starting from the east side and working his way in through admin.
Now, the defenders will have heard that, so they know Merc's in the building. Unfortunately, they can't do anything about it because it already happened, so they have to deal with it anyway here. Merc's going to move out very quickly. Does get some free shots over onto mid, but is not going to be able to fully capitalize on it. Only takes out about 25 HP before mid hits the deck and saves his own life here. Now the jig is up. They absolutely know that the Amaru's in play. If there was already any doubt from the sound intel that they probably got previously, they'll have to play this out very carefully upstairs for the rest of this round. There may be a bit of a timer on the lives of the players upstairs for the rest of this one. Also going to readjust some of the reinforcements to account for that swing in from Merc. He's still, for the most part, going to be alone. He did get one other player to jump in with him, though, but that's only a two-man clear upstairs. No, three players, excuse me, as there is one on the bathroom rappel as well. So this is the major priority right now for TSM. It is not a solo mission from Merc. It's important to note here that Merc gets that slight zoom advantage on the scope. However, that's not going to mean anything at close range against a shotgun. Eclipse, one pump shuts down Merc and says bye-bye to the Amaru play.
Swings him off the stun grenade. Great play there from Mint, but still a long road ahead for both of these squads. TSM only halfway through this neck of the woods, and they still have to deal with this top hold from DarkZero, and it's looking quite strong. Reinforcements on the bathroom, as well as a resurgence of operators upstairs as hot and cold rounds spiral. They still have all been centralized for the most part inside of short. The rest of TSM still on the outside of the building. DarkZero still have most control here, but Geo finally equalizes as he takes down Hyper on a yellow rotate.
Break us down into a 4v4. There's a chance for revenge coming up here. However, it looks like it's going to be missed as the player over at the yellow window is going to back away. And the defender on the inside will not have the opportunity to trade that back out. What they will have, though, is the opportunity to shut down this attack on timing. But at the same time, TSM has already shown us that they can burst execute with low time of force. The DarkZero can't feel safe about their positions just yet. They lost this last round in very similar fashion the last time that this site was defended here. DarkZero very patiently waiting for the upstairs control attempts to come in here now from TSM, specifically for Achieve to swing around the corner onto this angle, as they're very much waiting for him. And there you go, Eclipse. Good patience from him. He's waiting a while for that lineup. He'll take down Achieved and have himself another duel at the front door just a couple seconds later.
Oh, it could be the pickup from Eclipse, but he looks away at the last second. Doesn't even matter, though. Hot and cold at range takes him down. Bolo looking for his first frag of the game, and he'll get it. Looking for the second, and that's a double for him on the round. Still has a lot more work to do, and he has Chala to assist. Case on Chala as well. He needs to start this plant. Very low HP for Bolo as he's on Overwatch, but missed positions here for DarkZero. Bolo gets one. He pre-fires the other angle. They have drones inside of bench, and Bolo can do it! That's exactly what we expect out of this man. TSM pick up their first round on offense.
Pretty sure those were some of the last bullets in his magazine too, if not the last bullets themselves. So really good stuff from Bolo there. Just pacing the pre-fire perfectly, and the last burst from him lines up exactly where it needs to be to shut down that 2v2. Beautiful play from Bolo. We have to remember, that's a 4K from him because he also got the 2 entries as well. Massive individual effort, exactly what we were talking about in the pregame for what we would be expecting and looking to see from this TSM roster. Any one of these individual players in the roster exploding at any moment. And that's exactly what we just got from Bolo.
And it was desperately needed as well. And extremely well done by him. I mean, it is so very difficult to live in Rainbow Six Siege when your health is that low. He took multiple gunfights. It's a one-shot HP bar, and that is so very difficult based upon your positioning. You saw how Bolo worked all of those angles, made sure to make his hitbox small. There was so many levels to what he was doing right there to lock that all down. Granted, it was from one position. He just played it so damn well. It was extremely well done, extremely clean, and if he keeps playing like that, DarkZero's in for some hurt.
DarkZero falling behind now on their defensive half of Consulate. Still some opportunity for them to turn it back around, as we are only about halfway through the half itself. We're into our second quarter now, if you want to be precise about it. Either way, DarkZero looking to try and change up their luck here with a split defense. This will either go really well for them or really poorly, based off of the way that these sites generally get played out. Is going to be an upstairs roam as part of this one, though. Like I talked about yesterday when we saw this get played out, the defense on this site's a bit of a sandwich maneuver. You need to maintain second floor and basement control, depending on where your attackers want to move towards, and then use those positions appropriately in order to start countering out the plan attempts that would come in from TSM. Now, TSM are obviously aware of this, so they're going to put a lot of their droning efforts upstairs here initially, because they also are aware of the fact that DarkZero has been heavily partial to the upstairs roam, so there may not be as much activity in the basement, and they would be pretty correct to assume so, looking at the way things look right now.
Yeah, absolutely. DarkZero running a pretty traditional lineup here, really not heavy on nitro cells at all. Have the impacts on Skies as well as Mint, but the most important op here, the Pulse from Hot and Cold, changing things up a lot, especially on Consulate, one of his most dominant and most picked maps for Pulse. Mainly because of that cardiac sensor. You guys know that you can get all that intel through all of these floors, but specifically on Split, it makes it to where you know where all of these players are trying to put that plant down inside of Tellers. That's where that main plant will continue to go down throughout this tournament, as long as we're playing Consulate. So TSM now have that top floor. We're looking to Merc to try and utilize these EMPs inside of the late round to counter out Houghton. Otherwise, it could run into some major problems.
Time continuing to tick down here. We're going to see that nice EMP going off that'll allow for the drones to sneak in a little bit more proficiently. Away from that, half the round is already gone. And we have seen a large commitment to the fallback upstairs here. With that frag from Chala, that should solidify it. I don't believe that there's any additional roam presence here from DarkZero besides Eclipse. Anywhere else had already fallen back to the first floor and the basement. Now, there is still some extended presence, although I would hesitate to call it a roam at this point. Over in Piano, as an example, you get the most extreme example of this is Hyper is awaiting for players to try and rotate down Yellow and into Piano itself, where he might be able to punish players not expecting anyone on the defense to be here.
Has also been held here by Mint. You guys can see kind of the triangle choke that DarkZero have on this section of the map. Mint's going to be holding his cross from bottom spiral. Skies can move around the circle desk area, as well as assist Hyper inside of Piano through antechamber. So there's a lot of options here for them, so they can stack up around each other and try and trade this out when TSM wants to get aggressive. Even if Mint gets droned out here, DarkZero can still find some success simply because of the man count that they have here. But now they have to worry about Teller. Skies tries to rotate back in. He gets taken down by Merc. It was very ill-advised. Nitro Cell goes off, but only deals partial damage. The rest of TSM pretty lit up, but nobody dead just yet. Geo goes for the first plant, but it's a fake. Another explosion goes off. They've also gotten the air jab for Spiral, but oh no, Chala, domination from upstairs. Can he get the last kill? The ARX bodes favor for him, and TSM claim round 4. That's going to be 2 in a row as they sit up on 3-1.
Chala making some massive impact from the second floor within that round. Not only does he clear out the remaining roam presence after the initial players that were there had fallen back from DarkZero, but then does a fantastic job maintaining spiral control and taking out 2 additional players at the end of the round, stopping any rotations to the site that may have potentially interrupted them taking control of it there. So great stuff, great support in the middle of the round. That also translates into a 3K there from Chala. We haven't seen a whole lot of just yet in this tournament, but definitely a good round to pick up from him there. 3-1 lead is now present for TSM as they push ahead.
All right, well, we're going to be headed to basement for our very next sites, but inside of that last round, especially Chala, as just said, TSM looking really, really strong, but DarkZero Little bit of a misprediction there on how that round was going to go. They position over inside of the piano's circle desk area and get shut down. TSM handling things in a completely different fashion. They tend to go towards that, front lobby area or the teller's area, Visa office. That's the one that always ends up confusing me on this map. That in admin, I always remember admin, never remember Visa. But either way, end up going down through Visa instead of down yellow and CEO, and that's exactly what DarkZero thought that they were going to do. So when Skies rotates back to site, not only is he caught off guard from Spiral, but all of a sudden there's everyone in a handbasket inside of Visa office, and that's going to be very difficult for you to try and handle that situation. It's very similar to what happened to, I believe it was Skies as well yesterday with the Dokkaebi inside of the exact same situation. He pushes inside of tellers and there's just 4 defenders there, and you can't necessarily take that many gunfights.
All right, so taking a look once again at how the opening attack is going to go for TSM. Well, it's going to go pretty well, as Bolo goes right up on the balcony and immediately deals with one of the 2 roamers upstairs. It's going to be Eclipse, unfortunately, who had a great start to this matchup and has continued to find massive impact, putting him way ahead of any other one of his teammates right now. Still, this round not meant to be. He's going to be taken out pretty quickly by Bolo, who's also been on a hot streak here as of the past few rounds. Hyper is now going to get all the responsibilities of his dead teammate, and a lot of pressure will be on that. More than likely, it looks like he's going to have to call for a fallback pretty quickly, as the team is defending in the basement. So if he can save his own life, if they can preserve the minimal losses and stay at a 4v5, that's going to be highly, highly preferred over potential loss of another 1v1 that would put them down into a 3v5.
And that could have some major problems if that does happen here. Very slow beginnings for TSM once again, all except for that pick onto Eclipse. Things not changing up too much for DarkZero, all except for obviously the top frag now being gone, but Hyper can step up to the plate, or any of these members of DarkZero can step up to the plate at any moment in time. I'm still looking to Skies to try and change some things up here. It's been a very slow start for him once again, especially after what we saw from him yesterday. He told himself, hey, I played like absolute trash. I need to pick it up. I'm going to hold him to his own word because I know that's how Skies rolls. Skies needs to step it up right now for this roster. 0, 1, and 3 is not cutting it right now on these consulate defenses. Hyper going to start us off here for DarkZero, though. Pre-fires through the secondary wall into Piano. Doesn't find too much, though. Able to start us off onto Merc. He's been taken down. Quite a bit of damage onto Bolo as well. So DarkZero battling back into round 5.
And a drone pause here for TSM as they need to figure out how to handle the Hyper problem. Hyper is locked for the most part in that position, considering the current position of players on TSM. He has no safe way to get out of here, but at the same time, it's also not really a safe opportunity for TSM to kill anybody, as we're going to see. He nearly gets 3 for himself, confirms the second onto Bolo, and knocks out about half the HP from Achieved as well. So great impact coming out from Hyper's position in the bathroom. Now it's up to the rest of TSM here to make up the difference, as they are at an HP disadvantage, even though it's even numbers there. Was it a little bit of an attempt to make a run from Skies as he goes upstairs, but an air jab that he runs into will quickly change his mind about that. The entire defensive matrix on the site itself has really been untouched this entire time, and now we're down to 20 seconds. Mint just to use his first smoke charge, so there's not a lot of reason to believe that TSM can find success here, but they've surprised us so many times already. Will this round be another one? It's not looking like it. Chala's the last man standing, and he won't stay that way for very long. Hot and Cold shuts it down for DZ as they finally claim another round.
I had some premonition about this when we saw Hyper get that initial kill inside of Bathroom, but I didn't think it was going to go so poorly for TSM, but it ended up going that way, didn't it? I honestly thought that pinch was going to work out extremely well for them, but he gets a lot more bang for his buck than I think anybody honestly thought that he was going to get. And he ended up almost killing Achieved as well inside of that, so there was a lot of things going on there, but a fantastic round from the Jaeger player. DarkZero fighting their way back into this. They need to equalize here on Consulate. Granted, the 4-2 split, not that bad. They can definitely do something on their offense. But again, that problem being yesterday on their offense on this exact map did not have a great time. They got practically ran over by Oxygen on that defense.
That goes back to the question we were talking about in the pregame, was whether we were going to see that more proactive defense from TSM, where they really try to get in the faces of the members of DarkZero on the attack and largely had success with it. Not only just that too, but constantly changing the positions. Even when they never really had intel against it, they would still, anytime they shot or gave away any type of sound at all to their opponents, they would just constantly end up shifting their positions so as to constantly throw them off. And it worked like a dream for Oxygen yesterday, for the most part anyway. Still ended up eventually losing the series, and the fact that they played against it for so long yesterday means that DarkZero might already have an idea about how to counter it, but still doesn't mean it's not completely out of the minds for TSM. Maybe try some of the same things if they need to use it.
I think inside of the aggressive playstyles between TSM and Oxygen, oh, that was not supposed to happen, Houghton. I don't even think that he touched the window yet, and Shala had already shot him. Oh no, he was definitely going to go for the spawn kill, so that's what you get. But I mean, that's still very unlucky for Hot and Shala getting a very, very early pick. And actually, top of the scoreboard now in front of Bolo for frags, 7-0-2. So Shala coming back to form. This is something that we saw from him quite often when he initially got on the roster.
Shala will absolutely take those, even if it is a little free on Hot in there. Just spamming into it, catching him with a little bit of aggression, puts TSM on the right foot forward at the beginning of round number 6. Already with full admin control as a result of that kill as well. So DarkZero's got to be sweating a little bit here because they've already lost a third of the upstairs here. And not even a minute is gone from the round yet. Just has to clear out a couple more players, and they'll be good to start moving this down onto the first floor to eventually take control. The MP goes up there to try and deal with some of the gadgets that are sitting on the other side of the wall, and it will work out as we see that mute jammer sitting directly behind Eclipse getting dealt with. Also, one against the wall there, I do believe, allowing the drones to work their way in. Eclipse trying to go for swings here in order to make up the difference and possibly try to at least go 1-for-1 out of this duel, but the first attempt at it doesn't work out too well. Pepper's in the shots on the balcony. That's immediately going to cause Eclipse to have to watch 2 separate angles now, and he decides that that's too much of a risk. Great shot from Mint here, though. In the meantime, as he holds control over the connector still, it's going to be able to pop up, get a quick shot off onto Merc, taking him down, even bleeds a bit of damage off on Achala as he chips him on the shoulder, too.
Fantastic stuff so far for TSM, but battling back is Mint inside of Connector right now with this deployable shield. Still has one of my discs floating into his pocket as well, so thankfully for that, he's going to be able to deny a lot of this utility. He has an air jab at his door, though, so he's not going to be able to push any farther. He can just simply be the dam that holds the water back that is TSM. So great hold so far from DarkZero, continuing to support that, but Mint's already given the call for Hyper to rotate away. Mint wants to get aggressive up here and try and get some more picks, and I got to completely agree with him. Going to continue to swing these windows, trying to find someone downstairs as Bolo and Geo are partnered up on the double door into lobby. Still has to worry about some pressure upstairs as he rotates back in, but the rest of the DarkZero members now worried about this plant. Geo taking quite a bit of damage from this smoke as they have quite a few, but Skies lays Bolo out with the SMG-11. What a shot from him. DarkZero now working the map as well. Rotations coming through. TSM has to worry about this. Geo taking more damage, but this case needs to go down soon. Shala got the flank watch, but doesn't even matter. Eclipse cleans him up, has the M590, downs another one. It's the boomstick into the SMG-11 play. DarkZero tie things up here on defense.
Bit of an unfortunate loss at the beginning of that round from DarkZero, but afterwards, it's a great recovery and a great defensive effort put up, especially by the remaining members of the upstairs team there. A good early pick from Merc, and then a great hold in the base, or not the base, but the first floor too, in order to seal the deal. That's going to end our first half. And now send us on to the second, where DarkZero is now on the attack, and the series gets really interesting from this point forward, as this was the contention point for DarkZero in their earlier matches, was the weaker looks on their attacks. Will it be the same thing here? Will TSM be able to abuse the roam game just as OXG did yesterday, or are they going to play to their own game and still be able to shut down these attacks from DarkZero? Alternatively, has DarkZero made improvements, and will they come into this one with a strong suit to potentially take the lead? Let's find out. At the same time as well, let's support the scene. Let's talk about these great new Rainbow Six Share skins, as well as all the League skins that have been put in the game. Feel free, go ahead and check them out now. They're available. They support all of Rainbow Six Esports and your favorite team, so feel free to check them out in the shop now.
Yeah, make sure you guys go in there, check out all of those skins. We got some fresh ones around the corner as well, so be looking out for those inside of your timelines and feeds all across social media at a further point in time. But make sure you guys grab that TSM set especially. You guys will be seeing them run it throughout this entire series. Make sure you check out those gloves. Hyper probably has it on right now because they look so damn good. Who doesn't love having dragons on a black and white, you know, and red color set? It just looks so good. Throw your money at that instead of something else.
All right, guys, well, the round has started. DarkZero out and about here. Let's take a look at their opening push. More than likely going to have to see some admin control at the beginning here again, because once again, you've got that upstairs roam alive. This time, of course, for TSM. Site control is going to be focused on the basement, though. So eventually, DarkZero will need to work their way down there, but TSM's got a very, very heavy roam game to play into on this site. So DarkZero also can't completely ignore that. At the same time, though, that site's looking kind of weak right now. Only 2 active defenders on it. So that's just an important factor to keep in mind if stuff does end up going a little bit crazy here. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case, though, as DarkZero, very focused on that upstairs clear, will find their first mark as Skies is able to isolate out Bolo just outside of the bathroom and take him down.
That's a really, really smart play there from Skies. He recognized the lobby hold early on, obviously, from the drones, and figured they'd be playing a very similar setup, and he was absolutely correct. He one-taps the connector window, immediately sees Bolo playing outside bathroom, and gets himself a free frag. So that's just using that big brain to its maximum potential. Now achieved all alone upstairs, more than likely in need of assistance as well. This is a very difficult area to hold down when you can get pressured from long so easily.
Bit of patience here from both teams now, as neither one wants to make a mistake. DarkZero's got the advantage. They don't want to lose it. TSM on the back foot here. They want to preserve what's already behind. Achieve, though, potentially in a bad position if he's not careful. There is a player right above him on the skylight. Spotted out again by the drone. And he doesn't even realize that Houghton still maintains skylight control, so he finds the free pick onto Achieve. That will absolutely go untraded. And now there's a 5v3 advantage here for DZ. TSM has to find a way to get back into this. There's only 1 minute and 20 seconds left now for DarkZero to begin their attack.
This is really, really hard for TSM. If you guys have noticed, TSM is trying to overstay their welcome, and that's not by, you know, accident. Achieve's trying to exist just a little bit longer because of what we saw yesterday. Skies gets yet another kill on this buck. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen him play this operator, obviously playing it yesterday, but I mean, he's one of the most potent buck players in the entire world, and it still seems to ring true. But what I was attempting to get towards is that Oxygen's big plays up against DarkZero yesterday were simply just existing and adapting inside of those situations a lot longer than other teams would. A lot of other teams would have fallen back, but they were getting more aggressive and moving into off angles, and that caught DarkZero off guard. DarkZero's offensive takes have been completely different. Skies get that initial pick, they start pushing people back towards yellow stairs, end up getting a nice pick off of that, but with only 30 seconds remaining and TSM down to 2 members, they need to make something happen here inside of this 2v5.
Gio's been sandwiched. He has no safe harbor to play towards anymore. He's going to dive below underneath the white truck and see if that serves him better, but ends up going right back to the back of it anyway. Tries to throw the nitro cell up, but it hits the ceiling, so no dice on that one. And very quickly afterwards, we'll see Chala fall as well to mid. That's a flawless round and a very well-deserved one as well from DarkZero. They definitely get started out on the right foot here on their attack, and that's got to be just a little bit scary for TSM, seeing as we are even right now, with DarkZero just now taking the lead.
Much better offense from DarkZero, and it seems as though they went back to the drawing board on what they want to bring on this map. If I go back here, I can see what we had for bans on that. If you just give me a second. Going back to Consulate, Hib, Nomad, Mira, and Wamai. So that's probably why we're seeing Eclipse on this Nomad so much right now. That was probably their idea for the lineup originally, but they tried to switch it out to the Dokkaebi, which would force Skies to flex over to that, because more than likely somebody doesn't want to play the Doke, so Skies will play it. So there's a lot of different things that could have went on here, but that Nomad ban more than likely hindered their success yesterday, and it's definitely having its impact now. I mean, obviously DarkZero can hold flanks a lot easier. Skies is on an extremely potent operator for himself. I mean, there's a lot of good things going on here for DZ.
A lot to build off of for sure, and a lot to try and push the advantage even further into this map, and hopefully right up to 7 rounds. But for TSM, they also want to try and turn things back around. They also know that it's a very close game right now, and they're also going to double down on this upstairs defense, very much because they kind of have to here. Same site, gonna be the same strategy, and we'll see if the small adjustments as they've made to the upstairs hold are going to work out into their favor or not. Achieve still being bold with his hold here, possibly gonna get an angle on the Skies in a second if he continues to maintain the angle, but no, backs away from it, is just going to hold normal connector pressure instead, possibly to counter out the repels, which are probably on the way if DarkZero wants to clear upstairs in the same fashion they did in the previous round. Sky's initially prioritizing the CEO site, however, the CEO rooms, as they would be on this round, before starting to move in. And Achieve, he knows he's heard some drone sound, he just can't tell from where. He's going to try to get aggro and hop out, praying that somebody might have been down below, preparing to repel, but no dice this time. Nothing to be found from Achieved, and he's actually going to start backing up down Visa, as he's heard that door open up too.
Well, some damage onto Merc here, and yep, that's the exact problem, John. They've figured it out. They've cracked the Konami code, my friend. DarkZero being extremely patient and waiting for TSM to come to them. TSM can't try and force anything on the outside of the building either. DarkZero being very patient, working their way up, and then utilizing these windows, and that's exactly why we call Consulate Window Simulator. Look at that right there. Back and forth off the windows we go. DarkZero just decimating TSM this entire time. Bolo, the movement comes through. So slick, looking like James Bond 007, but no, it's actually Geo to fall. Bolo still stays alive after some stuff goes on there, but TSM still on the receiving end, and 2v4 now with only half the round gone.
The play that we're seeing right there upstairs also gives you some pretty good clarity as to why we've seen second floor defenses fall off quite a bit, because you can very easily lock down rotates just from the windows. Your defenders just don't have a lot of freedom of movement over the course of the round, as we just saw in the roam game on TSM upstairs. Beautiful job from DarkZero on locking all of that down without ever having really to set foot inside of the building, except over there towards Visa. Excellent job. Now it's time to see if they can take it downstairs, which should be a minimalist task at this point, considering they already did it on the previous round. And just like that previous round, they're working with a massive man advantage at this point of a 4v2. Now TSM realize they're going to potentially be outnumbered, or whether they are going to be outnumbered. So Bolo trying to take an aggressive stance with his position down there at lower yellow. At the same time, it's not going to be as much of the same from Chala, just because he doesn't have the capability to fight infinitely. He's got a much slower loadout here, so he's got a much more standard position on the inside of Cafeteria, where he's going to try and delay with those smoke charges. Bolo commits himself to his initial fight through a top-down angle going up towards Piano, but generally comes out on the losing end of it there. He's at sub 25 basically here now. However, turns it around against guys and quickly flicks over to Yellow Stairs to take out Mint. They may still be in this round yet. It's down to the wire with 13 seconds left. Chala sees the barrel of a gun. Hyper will take out Bolo. There'll be some damage on the Chala, but he's dodging bullets right now. And one more pump from the M590 will clutch it out as Chala gets it done for TSM.
What a round from Chala and Bolo to shut down DarkZero. Both of them coming into their own inside of that round, making some huge highlight plays. Being capped off by Chala there in that last second, but overall a very strong push for DZ. They seem to have what they needed control of, but simply outplayed and outdueled by TSM, and specifically Bolo taking and winning gunfights time and time again. It's going to be very difficult to try and get onto site if he continues to shoot that way. Again, it seems as though, you know, he's a touch hot and cold right now, but it's the hot rounds to where he, you know, really pops off. He's getting 3, 4Ks, stuff like that. But, you know, that really accounts for those other rounds. He's keeping his team in this. And honestly, he's one of the lifebloods for this squad right now. Merc not really lighting up the scoreboard. We've been seeing Chala come back into form with these clutches as well. TSM do not want to lose this.
So TSM on timeout right now here after a very intensive round win. Need to give themselves a moment just to compose what exactly went down right there. That's exactly what they're doing. But the time is up. We are going to be going back in game in just a second here, and we'll have to see if that pause has helped out TSM. The round win probably did it. That's for sure. Whether the pause is going to help or not, that's another matter entirely, as it's a very nice clutch from the basement hold. A 2v4 win from them in order to take that round, and more importantly, in order to keep this game neck and neck at what is now 4-4. Between the two teams here. Up to DarkZero to give us a response as TSM's finally locked themselves out of the basement, and now they're going to go for their lobby hold.
How does one kill a god? That's the real question. You got to make him bleed somehow. They've made him bleed 6 times, but the guy just keeps on living and is able to continue to get these highlight reel rounds. So for DarkZero, that's the question that dances around inside of their heads. How do we shut down Bolo? How do we try and take the clutch factor away from TSM? And I exactly don't have the answer. Really, the only thing that DarkZero messed up on inside of that crunch moment inside of the last round was that they funneled into security hallway. That was a really, really big problem problem. They tried to apply some pressure into Piano through that vertical play, but they didn't have anyone on yellow stairs that could possibly swing to contest anyone if they were going to try and contest that vertical play. So there's a couple of, you know, mismatched opportunities for DarkZero where it could have went either way, but the 50-50 just fell on TSM side of the fence every single time.
TSM committing heavily to that upstairs roam yet again. They kind of have to, considering the site we're going on to. They haven't had the best track record with this. In fact, it's looked really poor of the 2 rounds that have been played out on this half so far. TSM has, generally speaking, been wiped out incredibly quickly by the DarkZero clear game when they've tried to defend upstairs. With it being a focal point of the round, the things may be different, or maybe not, as Hyper is just going to find one for free there, catches Merc roaming by the window, and is going to be able to take him down along with the Alda that would have controlled it.
Oh, could have another contention here from Hyper. He's looking to contest the connector window, but he's going to receive some damage from, I believe, below, or ended up impacting the window seal close to him. Either way, some damage goes off, and that could hinder his success in some further gunfights. But now trying to find Bolo inside of connector. Bolo doesn't want to fall to the same sword as the last time, so he's going to position himself a hell of a lot differently. But the problem is now there's a completely different angle that he has to worry about from console windows. So plenty of damage now onto Bolo. They're trying to force this roam game out. Bolo, the only remaining member upstairs, does still have 2 Omai discs, though, as the rest of DarkZero still poised outside, waiting to see if they can get any more picks.
Of understandable panic right there from Bolo as he tries to change up position. And I think actually just ended up accidentally grenading his own drone, so we're not going to see anything else from that. Let's rely on his teammates, or potentially himself if he had another drone or intel to play off of that. In the meantime, though, they've got piano control. Where's the resistance from TSM? They can't swing into the room because of this angle from Hyper right now. He's controlling it. They've got the plant down under the ground. Once again, nicely done here by DarkZero. Hutton's able to come in on the assist here as he takes out Shala deeper in the site. Now, this is the problem. The upstairs roam is still alive, even if just partially here, and could cause problems, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Hyper gets another one. He's on a triple for the round, and Bolo's the only one left. You have to remember, he's already heavily injured from the previous fight he got himself into against that very player that's still on, CEO Repel. Only 1 kill being picked up by him. Tries to hop down, even uses that disc, I think, as a little bait possibly to try to get crosshairs off of him, but sadly it does not work out, and we'll see him dropped very, very quickly as he drops in.
Much better offense here from DarkZero overall today. Their very first round pickup on offense being a flawless round, following exactly into that lobby attack where they end up getting plant down as well. So consistently playing objective, as well as just very well-timed and clean executes, really only botching their second round where we saw them attack basement. So some great stuff there from DarkZero, but again, this goes back onto TSM's shoulders. There was a lot of mistakes made there, especially upstairs, a lot of early damage going on, and not a very good read on the situation and what was going on inside of Piano, and that was highly abusable for DarkZero. TSM had no intel over there and really no way in order to stop what was happening from going on. DarkZero easily handled the top floor, hold, and ended up walking in, playing that verticality, get that plant, and simply walk away with a round.
Well, DarkZero with control over the lead, once again in very convincing fashion with the method that they're able to take control over the round. TSM still not favoring the repeat on that site as they were in garage here, are now going to work their way over on the split site, seeing if we'll have better luck here. DarkZero will know exactly how to handle this, and as far as TSM's setup is concerned, nothing crazy from the looks here on the first floor. There's not much you can do with the first floor with this setup, to be completely honest with you. It's mainly with what you do with the basement as well as the upstairs hold that matters the most here. And actually the downstairs hold's pretty light right now, not a whole lot being done to shore them up there. So DarkZero could have an opening if they decide to go the garage route, but previously that was not the case. So we'll see exactly what they're going to do here in just a couple seconds.
Well, they have a lot of options at their disposal. Pretty straightforward setup here from TSM. Exactly what we would expect for the most part, all except for Merc on his vintage operator Vigil, and he's going to start us off right here with an early pick. Still 3, 2, and 8, but obviously impact frags, meaning more than any KD could ever suffice. Tries to go for a very nice shot, but can't eventually get the lineup. Finally does, takes down Mitt, and Bolo on the other end of the map gets a double kill of his own. It seems as though the duo here on TSM is finally back in good business, but Merc gets shut down. Eclipse, AK in hand. Hopefully he's got a couple magazines because he's got a lot of problems. that are all inside of his hands. Achieved, Bolo, and Geo all on the board. The biggest problem for him now is actually Achieved, and it's not because of the scoreline. It's simply because of all that intel that he has at his disposal.
He will have to pretty much frag it out at this point. He's lost control over the diffuser. Not really much of a hope of getting that back and being able to play the objective in this 1v3. He's got two players peeking him. Oh, nearly had the lineup he needed for the second kill too. But only going to be able to line up that first one there before Geo also swings and gets the immediate trade. Good defense by TSM. They're still hanging on here, still crawling back against DarkZero, and it seems like it's all but an inevitability at this point that we would go to OT. However, we still have 2 rounds left to decide that.
Apologies on that ad lib. I just haven't seen LAN registration for a while, so when people hit crazy shots all the time, I'm just like, oh my.
Nice.
I wish, I wish my internet was this good. Like, oh man, some beautiful, beautiful stuff by all of these players today. And so far, though, TSM finally able to shut some things down on consulate defense. They're staying neck and neck with DarkZero. The adjustments are coming through, and it really seems as though they're messing with that pacing. DarkZero are getting thrown off, but they still have a lot of opportunity here. And I really am chalking this up to mostly what they've been able to do with Eclipse and that Nomad just threatening the roam game of TSM, because they haven't been nearly as successful as our other aggressive teams playing into DarkZero with Nomad now on the field. So I think that DarkZero just feels a little bit more comfortable here, as well as they've just been winning a lot more of their gunfights, to be completely honest with you. I mean, looking over at the right side of our screen here, Achieved 1-1-10. That's not something that we see happen very often for this guy. Achieved is somebody that's usually inside of the double digits or has some high impact rounds, and right now he's practically an airsoft gun.
All right, guys. So another round, another attack for DarkZero, another defense for TSM here. And unfortunately for TSM, another upstairs roam needs to come into the picture as well. These have just not been working out, generally speaking, for TSM, but they cannot avoid them because of the sites that they're playing onto. So constantly need to keep setting these up and hoping that they can finally turn around some of these, more than anything, the early duels and the early setups that DarkZero's been lining up to just clothesline these TSM players when they're forced out of position. They've been unable to avoid that fate largely throughout the entire half here. So we'll see if this round's going to be any different.
Well, slow beginnings here for DarkZero. Seemingly want this yellow take, though. Hyper already posed on yellow. Skies goes to bathroom. Rest of the squad's main job to hold down connector as well as those windows. Try and get some pressure in up top. Mainly droning right now for DZ, though, and so early on in the round, they can obviously make quite a few adjustments. Although for the DarkZero lineup, they have Yana here, and we haven't talked too much about her today, but we haven't seen her be too effective either. Not too much use with that hologram, no real intel gathering either. We've seen him get a frag with that G36C, but that's really about it. I'd like to see Mint step up just a little bit more in that intel department, but it does get difficult on this map simply because of, again, those window repels. You can't exactly have a hologram hop in a window when you're, repelled 10 feet in the air.
So TSM taking a very passive stance right now, generally not trying to swing into these aggressive takes from DarkZero. They're trying to bring them, or the attackers, I should say, over towards TSM's current positions. And that's the difficult part, is I'm pretty sure DarkZero is aware of that. They're generally not biting into that. And a couple little peaks we've seen here haven't really led to a whole lot. So Sky's had enough of this game. He's going to just start working on the reconstruction anyways. He's onto the shotgun here to quickly open up some holes that go down into piano where the site is located. Now, beyond this, though, what DarkZero is going to look to accomplish is still very much up in the air. They actually have every position they need to attack the site, but they didn't finish clearing out the upstairs, and they've grown a bit ignorant of it. So Bolo's going to be able to roll in here, and between him and Achieve, they'll pick up 3 different kills. Achieve having to swing up the steps to get his. And we'll start to see the counter come in, but it lasts very, very short period of time as Bolo immediately takes out Houghton, gets his 3rd on the round, and brings everything down to Mitt, who's now trapped behind a Banshee with no way forward, as it would seem.
Somebody's going to need to get Bolo a bigger bag because he's putting them all in it right now. This is insanity. Mint, the last one alive, does have a frag grenade for some assistance, but probably not going to work out. Achieve makes a quick phone call and sends some very explosive business DarkZero's way. Ends up claiming that round, though. TSM looking quite strong, but it's mostly been the Bolo show, I will say that. Although TSM, that last round, fantastic pinch, and that's what I want to talk about. Although the mechanical skill of Bolo is so great, and we can just talk about Bolo all day, that's not necessarily what we need to do. Timeout coming in, more than likely DarkZero's. We'll get that confirmed here in just a second. Well, there it is right there, DarkZero's timeout. But what I wanted to talk about was TSM's retake of the top floor. DarkZero try and go for a low maintenance execute inside of console. They want to try and plant piano. Well, TSM set up for not only the retake up yellow, but they already have Bolo inside of Soda. That's the vending machines at the end of long desk, and as well as some pressure from up the admin staircase as well. Their entire plan initially was just to retake when they got case control inside of piano. Right when that plant starts going down, just rush from yellow and everywhere else, and they probably aren't going to have enough angles to shut you down. But they were able to do it a lot earlier on, simply because Bolo got those picks. You apply all that pressure upstairs, way too many crosses for anyone to worry about, and as long as Bolo is able to consistently win those, engagements in those 1vx scenarios, it's going to be hard to stop him. And just to remind all of you, this man is doing this with an MP5K with a 1.5 time scope on it. This is not a gun that just kills people. This is a gun that you have to shoot someone in the head, and he's doing it time and time again and making it look damn easy while doing it.
Pause time is up, so we will go back into the match here now. The basement defense is going to be up next for TSM, as on a bit more of a run here, not only tying it up, but now taking the lead away from DarkZero. And they've done it on a very, very dangerous round. 6-5. We're going into the final round of regulation here. DarkZero now has to win this next round. Otherwise, the map will go to TSM, and they will steal their opponent's map pick right out of their hands. DarkZero needs to trade out the last two here in order to trigger OT and re-enable their chances to win out on the opening map. Important thing to note, though, only the opening map. So we still have potentially maps number 2 and 3 where DarkZero could round a comeback if this map wasn't meant to be, but they're only one round away from the OT. Definitely not going to be giving up the fight, that's for sure. Let's see if they'll bring what's needed. Get control of the basement and win things out in order to trigger that OT.
All right, well, as we're waiting to get into this, what could be last round on Consulate, seems as though DarkZero has been hindered by their offense once again. John, just teeter-tottering back and forth with TSM. Granted, it's going a lot better than it did up against OXG, but there's still some errors here being made by DZ that we don't necessarily see them make very often. TSM really just bringing out the worst inside of DarkZero and, shining a very bright spotlight on it. So Bolo going to continue to do what he does best, roam and get in the faces of DarkZero, and they're going to have to try and get some form of information on him and pinch him out, but it doesn't seem as though Bolo wants to stick around too long. He'd much rather play downstairs, and honestly, this is a good change of pace, especially from the downstairs position. Bolo has a lot of options to rotate around, as well as the rest of TSM. You could always see someone like, Achieve stepping up to the plate, or anyone really making those rotations. We're just looking more towards Bolo simply because of the other operators in that lineup.
As time begins to tick down here, some of those initial DZ drones are going to work their way over towards Achieve's position. Not going to be too much of a surprise finding him on the inside of there. The reinforced shield will be a little wrinkle that they'll have to deal with, but not anything that's super uncommon when it comes to this defense here. Achieved, of course, has his escape route in the event that he gets pressured too heavily, but the focus is not really there right now for DarkZero. The focus is much more heavily applied to the garage wall. They'll be able to get the right extremity open with very minimal effort here. Other two were still denied at the time of explosion, so going to be some delay before we see attempts made to open those. But considering those are on the side of the drone hole, and just a well-placed grenade can deal with the denial on the other side, shouldn't be too much of a problem to get that one open as well, if that is indeed their goal.
All Achieved, along with Chala, playing a very nice bathroom setup, but saw some drones earlier on from Mint. They got some good intel on that, and they're just going to re-drone it really quickly to see if Achieved is still in here, and he most definitely is, and he's got a lot of Wamai discs along with that. All these stun grenades in, and all of these are going to get eaten up. All the stuns in the world can't save Achieved, as Hyper apparently hits him in the shoulder. Achieved allowed to survive through that situation, immediately tries to sprint through Kitchen, as TSM still up at a man count of 5. Under a minute now, though, for DarkZero. They've already gotten panel 1. They just need to start working their way into this garage to try and get this case plant down. Sky's looking for these picks downstairs now. Going to down Merc as he was still playing very aggressively up into the carport. Hot and Cold now getting the left-hand side panel, as things are looking very strong right now for ZZ. Good lead on this. Still have to worry about the man playing at the back of white, but still have some skeleton keys upstairs to handle that.
Full right to initiate now enabled here for DarkZero. Geo trying to chuck out a nitro and pre-place it for the players running around upstairs, but it'll be shot by someone at the breach, so never mind on that one. Meantime, Bolo's been waiting for an opportunity to strike on that back end for pretty much the entire round. He finally gets it there as he takes a bit of damage, but unfortunately doesn't look like he was able to return much. Hyper, in the meantime, strikes the first entry as they're trying to move into the actual site. They'll find the player hiding behind white, or will they? Geo comes out on top of the fight, over hot and cold. Eclipse as well. He's going to be able to get that pickup. Hyper is trying to go for a plant, but Chal is swinging out now. And no, TSM is going to win this one out along with the map here, as they're able to deny the plant at the final moments.